Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our fourth in our series of webinars. We've done Thailand, we've done the UK, and we had the mega US webinar last week alongside Sonam Tenzin's and the ACE team's webinar in the evening. So covered the US very well, I think. Today is an interesting webinar in many ways because it's kind of the rest of the world one in terms of university marketplaces, which makes it quite difficult. But Mr. Nolan will navigate through that because they're quite diverse areas, as he will explain, in terms of Australia, the many opportunities now in Asia, and then Europe, which almost every country is different. So you'll forgive us if we kind of dabble in and out of a variety of different countries. Of course, as with any of these webinars, these are just an initial set of information for you as parents, so you fully understand, have a good idea about where your son and daughter might be aiming to go. And then obviously once you're having your conversations with your son and daughter, they can come back and discuss with us. And we're also very happy to share any resources. But without further ado, I'll pass over to Mr. Nolan, who will start their presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Perkins. Yeah, and welcome again to the Australia, Asia and the EU, or in general, the rest of the world. As Mr. Perkins has said, it's an interesting one because there's such a variety of different aspects here to kind of cover. And with that, we're not really able to go into the specifics of each and every country around the world. So we kind of just give a bit of a sort of general idea of what the region is like as best as we can. Throughout the students' IB career, we always mention that they need to be researching the opportunities as well, and we are here to support that. And it's no more true than for these regions here, where the applications and the admissions processes are quite specific to each university within that country as well. Just as a sort of reminder, no matter where students are planning on studying around the world, universities are always looking for students to have positive attitudes, passion for course subjects, the ability to think and work independently, persevere and complete tasks, and that sort of inquiring mind looking to explore ideas. And also active members of their communities, their school communities and outside of school communities. So it's just a reminder that we keep telling students and parents for when students come to apply for universities, what they need to try and portray themselves as and find evidence of how they can meet these things, these ideas. We also, a reminder on Unifrog, our online university platform. This is a great place for students to pick up some quick information. It's not able to give every detail about every university, and it might prompt you to go and visit their website. But for the general ideas, it's very good, and it's definitely a place where students should be thinking about first of all when they start looking. And a final reminder on the support that our school offers as well. We have SAT ECAs given by Mr. Anderson, and that's kind of like when students require it, Mr. Anderson will be able to put that on. Mr. Barrow and Mr. Woodby support with IELTS, and Mr. Rogers supports with BMAT for those students wanting to study medicine. Okay, so a few quick reminders, but on to studying in these different parts of the world. And I've started with Australia. For those that remember, students might not know this picture these days, but I think we'll all know this picture. Starting with Australia, because there's quite a few students in the past of our students of ours in the past that have gone down under and studied in Australia, so I thought we'll kick off there. And there's a reason why a lot of our students have gone to Australia, and it is quite a popular destination for international students, sometimes overlooked, but it is a popular destination. When this might be pre-COVID, I think, but this was third most popular international student destination in the world. So that kind of proves it there. Reasons for that usually tend to be the quality of the Australian universities. And the reason I say it's overlooked is because when we think of these most prestigious universities around the world, we often think of your Oxbridge in the UK, or the Russell Group, or the Ivy League in America. But Australia have some top ranked universities in the world. It says that 8 out of the top 100 universities in the world are in Australia. So we do have some fantastic universities. 5 out of 30 best student cities. So the quality of education is very good at these universities, but also the quality of life at these universities are amazing. And we can understand that because there are lots of activities for students to do down there. They have 38 public universities and 3 private universities, namely Bond, Notre Dame, and Torrens. And there's a link here to for more information about studying in Australia. And throughout this presentation, there'll be quite a lot of links where you can find out more information about these areas. I've mentioned UK and the US, where the UK have the Russell Group universities, and the Americans have the Ivy League. The Australian version of that is the Group of 8, and this is a coalition of the leading research universities. So in a similar fashion to the Russell Group and the Ivy League, these universities have quite a priority on research as well. So they are fantastically renowned around the world, but sometimes, as mentioned before, these universities might not be the right fit for all the students. And if they go to those public universities that we mentioned earlier, teaching-wise are still very good. Group of 8, which are the top most ranked, but the other universities are still very good with their courses. I've mentioned New Zealand here, and I'll come back to New Zealand as well, but New Zealand also have world-renowned universities, including the University of Auckland, which is the most highly ranked in New Zealand. And again, there's a link here for you to find out a bit more information for universities in New Zealand. I will come back briefly to that as well. Australia is interesting. Being the Southern Hemisphere, they've got different, their summers and winters are flipped, and it's affected their academic year. For the Northern Hemisphere, mostly, the academic year for the UK, the West side, will be starting in August and September. But for Australia, their academic year starts in February. So that applies to the universities as well. They have, therefore, a February intake, which is their normal intake, but they also do have a July, August, September starting date as well. We kind of advise the February intake to students. If they really want to go for the September start, that's absolutely fine. But we advise the February intake mainly on the advice that we've been given by the representatives from the Australian universities. They suggest the February intake because students in Australia, the Australian students, they start in February, and it's best to start when the majority of people are starting as well. It gives you that chance to get to know more people. If they do start in February, then the application will be after the IB results, which means that students don't really need to worry about their GPA or their predicted IB results, because they will be applying with their actual IB certificates and their results in their IGCSE as well. They say that personal statements are strongly recommended, which is why we get all of our students to complete a personal statement. And the universities can offer some foundation courses as well. If a student wants to enter in July or apply for the July start, then the applications will need to be earlier, and they will be before the IB exams are taken, and therefore the offers received will be based on predicted grades. Okay. Then once the IB results are out, they will be issued to the universities. Something to look out for, as with all universities, as we've said in the other webinars, that the universities might require some standard of mathematics at IB, okay, depending on what course you're going to study. I know that in the group of 8 universities, if you want to study anything to do with commerce or finance or mathematics, of course, then you're going to need maths analysis at higher level. Okay, but there are some universities that are that have these exceptions. So you just need to we need to have a look at the university's website to make sure. Okay. For international students to apply to these universities, you need to have an accredited university agent. The one that we use in Thailand is called One Education. They used to be called Insight, so you might have known them by Insight, but they're called One Education now. We've had them into the school already this year to speak to students about studying, and they help with all the application processes for the students. So that is really kind of useful on our part, because they make sure that all the required documents are there, and they give advice on which universities would be kind of suitable for the student. After having spoken to that student, they give those options, and they're very knowledgeable. The good thing about this agent is that they are partners of the universities in Australia. So they're an independent company, but they're accredited by all the universities in Australia, of a group of 8 universities. Another way to sort of find out some information is to contact the admission representatives directly, and you'll be able to ask them questions about their university, about the course at their university, and so on. Okay. That's kind of it for, if I just flip back, that's kind of it for the admissions for Australia. Having that group helping with student applications is very useful, because we can work together, but it takes a lot out of it for the students as well. They've got some very experienced people, and that kind of really sort of, they talk through the application process a lot more. So just an idea where some universities, or what universities are specialising in. If you wish to study engineering, then these are some rankings for universities in Australia for the course of engineering. And we've mentioned before about being careful with rankings, but I think they become more useful when you're looking at course rankings as well, because it's more dialed into the subject that you're looking at. So to study engineering, you've got the University of Melbourne is highly ranked, but then you've still got these universities as well, depending on which part of the country you wanted to study in. Law as well. So these are just a few examples of if somebody wants to study law, where might the best university be? And we have science and marine biology, which would be obviously fantastic to study marine biology in Australia. It's obviously naturally suitable for it. And again, so we've got very academic subjects here in Australia, but there is also place for those creative courses as well, for those creative students wanting to study, and there's some fantastic universities with fantastic facilities here as well. In terms of scholarships and financial aid, I feel like it's a bit of a cross between the UK and the US. There are scholarships and they do hand them out, again, for merit and for those students with special skills, such as sporting scholarships or music scholarships. So there are there, but they don't cover the whole, a lot of the time they don't cover the whole cost of the tuition fee. We've got the University of Queensland here, which is 100% tuition costs for the 3 years. So this is a very, very good scholarship. But this is quite a rare opportunity, and not many of the universities offer such scholarships like this. And for these sort of scholarships, the student would need to be looking at a minimum grade of 40, and it can be quite competitive to apply to this scholarship. But there are opportunities there. There are certain percentages of the cost given as a scholarship, and again, it's just finding the opportunities on the university's websites. I mentioned I'll come back to New Zealand. It's obviously a lot smaller in terms of the amount of universities there. The application process, like a lot of today, is to say that you need to usually create an account on the university's website and apply directly to each university. There are some minimum requirements for New Zealand where you will need to take an IELTS test and get a score of 6.0. There might be exemptions for IB students who are studying high-level English or English A, but that needs to be checked on the website as well. Okay, and again, lots of links here for students and parents to find out more information on. So that's kind of covered Australia, again, kind of in that brief, a bit briefly. But if there's more information that you want on Australia, then we're happy to get in touch and we can talk about it more specifically, depending on the universities that the students want to go to. Moving on then to Europe, not including the UK. So Europe as well has been quite popular over the years, and there are advantages to studying in Europe, namely that it is diverse and more multicultural. There are lots of international students that go and study there, but there are also lots of other cultures part of Europe. There's a wide range of courses. The universities there include liberal arts as well for students to go to, a wide range of kind of your highly academic courses, your traditional courses, but also your more creative and innovative courses. The universities there are also world renowned as well, and highly ranked on the world rankings. So it gives that high quality assurance. And it kind of gives a different university experience to if you were to study in the UK. There's lots more opportunities to travel around as well, and explore that cultural heritage. And I think one of the main reasons why people might choose Europe over the UK is, one, the universities are still highly ranked, but the financial cost of these universities are a lot less. So, you're still getting a highly ranked university for a lot less. Some links as well about studying in Europe and maybe some of the cities that students might want to find some information about, to see if it's a place where they'd like to live and to study. One of the things that we have to be careful about when we're choosing universities in Europe is just to make sure that the course is in English. There won't be a mistake, though. Students won't apply for a course, they won't be able to apply for a course or they won't be accepted to a course that's not in English if they can't speak the language that it is in. But they might find that they want to study a certain course at a certain university and realise that they don't offer that course in English. So you just need to check, but there are lots and lots and more courses that are being taken in English across Europe, but it's just, again, checking on the university's websites about that. There's also a branch of American universities spread out across Europe, and these are the universities that are spread out. So we have the American College of Greece, the American University of Paris. These are quite common. We do have an American university in England. We have here in London as well. There's more in Paris as well, Parsons in Paris. So there are opportunities. Sometimes the US citizens who are predominantly based in Asia choose to go to American universities around the world. And so there are some in Europe as well. This is an idea of the financial cost and a bit of a comparison. Again, this was taken a couple of years back now, but it shouldn't be too dissimilar to this. Maybe some changes after COVID, but it shouldn't be too dissimilar. And you can see Jacobs University, that's an American university, costing 25,000 euros, all inclusive. IE University in Spain costing 25,000 euros as well. One of the popular universities recently is Utrecht, which has been a few of our students have applied to. And you can see here that it's 17,000 euros all inclusive. Again, it might be a little bit different right now, but by not too much. And if we compare that to the US, a liberal arts university in the US of the same year, that was with all inclusive as well, with the tuition fees and the living costs as well. That was looking like 65,000 US dollars. So you can see there's a huge comparison there between the price of university in Europe and the price in the US and the UK for international students. Again, there are financial aid and scholarships. Now, there are a lot of countries in Europe, so it's difficult to put out all the scholarships and financial aid that can be here. So it's vital that students check on the website. They can check on Unifrog as well to see if any of the scholarships come up on there. But there are several universities that offer both need-based and merit-based. Remember, need-based will be looking at the family situation. Merit-based will be on how well the student has performed in IB. And there are some examples here for you to look through as well. These scholarships range in value. This UCU is Utrecht, which I mentioned just a moment ago, with a slightly cheaper cost of tuition, offering up to 75% of scholarships for non-European students. So there are these opportunities here for students to research and try to apply for. Okay, lots of links on this presentation for students and parents to have a look through. I've got a picture of the Netherlands here because it's been quite a popular destination for students to apply to. Obviously, again, financially, the Netherlands has been known to be a little bit cheaper and cost effective, but they've got some great universities as well, and they offer university colleges within larger universities which have rigorous academic programs, which are sometimes selective and very strong on the social science offering. Popular universities in the Netherlands usually are the Amsterdam University College, Maastricht, if I've pronounced that right. There's Utrecht again, and Delft. A lot of our students have applied to these in the past. They too are research universities. So 14 research universities, again, With universities that are research universities, it shows that they might be highly ranked on the world rankings because they're performing a lot of research as well. Okay, so in addition, many universities, so these are quite strong with their sciences and finance courses, but in addition, there's also a lot of liberal arts and science courses taught entirely in English as well, so usually we need to check that. For those science programs or business programs, these universities will usually expect the student to have mid to high 30 IB points for entry, with a CAS profile, essays and references, which would be written by myself. For the applied science colleges and the more practical based and more creative side, the expectation is around 26 to 30 IB points, but that can be quite competitive as well. So we obviously hope students can do the best that they can. For universities in Amsterdam, the students need to register to what's called Study Link. And that is kind of like their central admin process, a little bit like UCAS and a little bit like Commoner, where they can create their profile, if you will, and then put in their information on that, and then can apply to certain universities. There are some conditions to that in how many universities you can apply to study a certain course. So again, when the student lets me know that they want to study in the Netherlands, then we can look in more detail into that. Germany has been mentioned a couple of times this year and last year, so I've put it in here. There's some scholarship information, a link to scholarship information and program information. Again, German universities can be cost effective as well. And there are some highly ranked universities as well, so that's why it's a choice for students. But I would just ensure that the student checks and make sure that the courses are in English as well. Spain, we haven't had many go to Spain, but just to point out that the universities in Spain, the fees are among the cheapest in Europe. And courses are in Spanish and English. So for any of those that do speak Spanish, they can do it in their language. Some of the most notable Spanish public universities include University of Barcelona and the University of Madrid as well. So there's a link to these universities here. A lot of our students who are applying to EU tend to kind of go down the business route, as there are top business schools in Europe, including Barcelona, as just mentioned, Geneva and Munich. Okay. And what's been popular in the past, not so recently in these last couple of years, but what's been popular is the hospitality, hotel and hospitality courses. And here's a couple of examples of universities that offer these courses. They specialize in these courses. Les Roches is quite a well-known one. They've been into our campus as well, and they are partnered with a university called Glion. And these, like I said, they specialize in hotel and business management, but these can be quite expensive. So these don't really have the same tuition fees as the other universities in Europe, but they are quite popular for these courses. And here's just some of the links for those universities to find more information about each one of those. So if a student does want to study in the UK, what we advise is that they follow this link, Study EU, and it will give them some specific information for universities in France, Germany, Spain, or wherever they want to go. So they can look for the university in a certain country. They can look for a specific course of that university as well. Okay, it might give some information as well for them to explore what scholarships are on offer. Okay. And finally, moving on to universities in Asia, which again sometimes gets overlooked when we talk about the UK, the UK and the US. But Asia, in fact, is actually highly popular with students as well that don't want to necessarily move too far away from home, or out of that sort of their environment. So it is a popular destination, and more parts of Asia are opening up to students and becoming more popular in their own right. So as this map shows, actually the percentage of globally ranked universities, there's a lot within Asia as well. We think of those globally ranked universities as UK and the US, but over here in Asia, there are a lot of universities on the highly ranked in the world rankings. A little bit more about the rankings, I guess, and so some examples of some universities. We have NUS, National University of Singapore, which is one of the most highly ranked universities in Asia on the world rankings. But there are others around as well. As we can see, University of Hong Kong has been popular, Kyoto University, and Seoul National University as well. Another graph, I guess, to show the destination of students. This is taken in 2016. We can see here, we've talked about Australia, but we can see how popular Australia is. It's in 2016, it was equal to the United Kingdom, again, showing how popular that destination is for students. But looking more as well into China is highly popular, and Japan, even though it's low down at the bottom here with 4%, Japan is on the up with international students. It is a country that is now starting to invite international students more and more, and offering courses in English as well. Okay, so we expect a lot of student interest for Japan. More on rankings, I guess, more to advertise the quality of universities that is in Asia. There's National University of Singapore again, and all of these universities are in the top 50 ranked in the world. And that's really impressive, but it just shows the strength of universities that are a little bit more local to us. They're still quite far away, but more local to where we are right now. So we have a couple in China, and again, Hong Kong, which has been quite popular in the past. For the universities in Asia, there are a lot of branches from universities in the UK and universities in America. As we can see, we've got New York University in Shanghai. I think there's a New York University in Singapore as well. We have University of Nottingham, that's a UK university, Russell Group University, and they're in China and Malaysia. We have campuses in China and Malaysia. Australia as well, with Monash, that's an Australian university, and they also have a branch in Malaysia. So this gives an opportunity for students who don't want to travel long distances to go to these universities, gives them a chance to study at a campus closer to them as well. There's a lot more English courses on offer now around Asia. Again, like I mentioned, in Japan and China, there's a lot more courses in English, but it is something that the student needs to research as well and just make sure. An example of how some universities have branched out. So this is the University of Nottingham in Malaysia and China. So it has a campus in Malaysia for students to study, and they offer courses in the arts and sciences, engineering and science as well. And if they want to apply, it's a rolling admission, so they can apply throughout the year. Newcastle University, University of Newcastle, again has a campus in Malaysia, and they're offering a selection of courses as well. Okay. I was just going to say here, yeah, they only offer foundation courses to Malaysian students, but not a lot of ours will be applying for foundation courses there. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about Hong Kong, because obviously recently the popularity for Hong Kong has decreased slightly with a little bit of political unrest, but before that it was a very popular destination for students around this part of the world. And I think it's now becoming popular again, and over the next few years I think we'll see that popularity increase back to those levels. And the kind of the reasons why, and they're still apparent, is that it's one of the most international cities in Asia, and it's a financial hub and a gateway to China as well. And I guess for students, the big appeal is that financially it's low cost as well, and they offer great scholarships, almost automatically, depending on what the students achieved in their IB. If they do very well in their IB, they will automatically receive this scholarship. So that's a big appeal to them. Of course, there are career and business potentials when studying in Hong Kong as well. And this is just to also state that the universities in Hong Kong are also world renowned as well and highly regarded. There's some excellent academic and research quality. So students going to these universities, as we can see on the right here, these are what they're ranked in the world. So there's a lot of universities here which are very highly ranked. To be in the top 50 is quite difficult, considering the amount of quality universities there are. And even sort of a little bit lower down the rankings, these are still very high quality universities as well. As I've done some examples on other universities around the world, here's an example of Hong Kong University for Science and Technology, ranked 30th in the world in 2018, so you shouldn't be too far behind that now. There's a government quota for non-local students, okay, so that allows the acceptance rate to be larger, so 20% is quite large, which is quite good. Tuition fees are in 2015 averaging $15,000 US, which again, if we remember what the comparison was for universities in America, was about $60,000 all in. I think it was around about $40,000 for tuition fees, $35,000 for tuition fees. So more than half the price. And there are more scholarships offered, especially for IB students as well. Okay, so these are the reasons why students would like to study in Hong Kong, and that's just one university. There are other universities as well, that variety of courses. We have the high academic courses, we have the creative side. So this is an art and design university for students wanting to go down that route, with more information here on this link. It gives an idea of what you need. So again, with anything arts, you'll need to have a portfolio, which is essential, and our arts teachers help students create one of those. But these universities in Hong Kong, when you're applying to them, you're going to be applying directly to the university. So you need to go to their website and find out the information on how to apply. Again, usually it's creating a portal on their website and registering through that and doing the application through there, uploading your personal statements or your portfolios. Hong Kong University is another example, again ranked 26 in the world in 2018, so very highly ranked universities here, and with a lot of financial offerings here, the scholarships for students who are getting 40 plus, very generous scholarships for those sort of students as well, and still more scholarships on offer for specialized students who have sports or music as well. And another example, again, Chinese University of Hong Kong, which has been quite popular with some of our students as well. They have a range of world-class facilities and a world-class library and arts museum. So the point here is that these universities in this part of the world have fantastic opportunities for students, as well as being highly ranked in the world rankings and financially efficient as well. And then lastly, I just wanted to mention on Singapore. Again, it's a very popular destination for students, with some very highly ranked universities, as mentioned in some of the rankings that we did previously. But it is highly competitive. So I just wanted to make a note here about it being highly competitive. There's a link here for some more information on these universities. But as it says down there, you're looking at about a score of 38 IB points plus. But we have known students in the past who have got 38 points and not been accepted or not been given an offer. And we kind of, even though their websites will say 38, we kind of see it more as about a 42 plus, which puts them in the leagues of your Oxbridge and Ivy League universities. So that's that. We've mentioned how competitive those universities can be, and these universities in Singapore are similar. For deadlines and details on how to apply, you will apply directly to the university. So again, students will need to go onto their university website and go to their admissions page to apply. Last little bit from me again, just to kind of reiterate the competitiveness for certain subjects. These were the most popular subjects in 2014. And again, you can see that there are a lot of students going for these subjects and not so many acceptances. Okay, and as mentioned before, if students are wanting to apply, I've got links here for students to have a look through. Again, you need to go to the websites directly to check. It says here the application dates might change slightly each year, so it's just worth going on to their website just to make sure. They're usually around about the same time, but the dates might change, so it's just important to check. Okay, so just some key admission dates for, again, I guess around this side of the world. Hong Kong, there's fast track, and that means that students will need to have their application in for by November the 15th. In Singapore, as just mentioned, usually the application process starts around January, and it's the same for those countries as well. Okay. There are some universities that offer rolling admissions, so there aren't any deadlines for these. The students can apply to these throughout the year.
Phew. So there's a round the world tour from Mr. Nolan in 45 minutes.
Around the world in 45 minutes. So that's not bad.
So hopefully that's given you little tidbits, little crumbs about a variety of different places. Obviously, we open to questions now. If there's any questions you'd like to ask us, obviously we always say as well, if there's specific questions, you can always contact and email us. We are obviously speaking to students all the time, discussing those through, especially Mr. Nolan. So, you know, we do know when students are applying in our year 12s. We've got a few applying to Singapore for sure next year. So those conversations are ongoing